Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Your Vibes Podcast. Everybody's got a vibe and a story to tell. Here's this one. I hope you enjoy. This episode is brought to you by Sassy Pop Boutique. Sassy Pop is a women's clothing and accessory boutique located inside Mulberry Mill in Dickson, Tennessee. Sassy Pop's fashion professionals help their clients find the right style and fit for all body types and sizes. Whether you are an extra small or a 3XL, Sassy Pop Boutique will have you looking your best for all 4 seasons. Check them out on Facebook at Sassy Pop Boutique and on Instagram at Sassy Pop Boutique Dickson. Or browse their website for 24-hour shopping and shipping anywhere in the United States at sassypopboutique.com. All right, everybody, we are back in the studio for another episode. I've got a highly demanded and highly requested guest here today. I've had somebody get on me pretty hard about being more active with my social media posts with the podcast to get more traction, because I was complaining there was not too terribly much interaction, because pretty much what I was doing was just recording the shows and then promoting them after recording. So I've been trying to do some build up and maybe some more stories. And don't let me forget, I got to take a picture of you before this at the mic.
Selfie queen, so we are on.
Oh, we have some good ones on that one.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, if you don't recognize her voice or from the pre-show promo, Miss Tabitha Anne Booker is in the studio with me today. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm very happy to be here and excited.
Good. Move the mic just a little closer, just a little. You can pull on it as much. There you go. Yeah, and the receiver's just right there in the front. Perfecto. So as soon as I made that post the other day, I had a lot of people private message me and say that this is going to be a great episode. So
don't even lie. They warned you. I know what they did. They warned you.
They did warn me.
They warned you.
They warned me. But here's the thing: is I'm just as crazy as the next person. So maybe people warned you about me too. Who knows?
I mean,
Cool. Well, have you been having a good day today? Been busy?
I have. Not really. Not too busy today. No, it was like one of those stormy days when you get up, and I love my room really, really dark, so it's kind of hard to tell if it's daylight or not. So when it's stormy, it's like perfect.
Yeah, we've had a lot of rain here lately, it seems like.
Yeah, we did have that one thing.
Big bad rain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you know anybody over that direction?
A lot of people. Yeah. I actually live out in Tennessee City, so
okay.
I was pretty close by. A lot of people. Yeah.
Everything good with you though?
Everything good with me. Just lots of prayers for all the people that lost everything, including loved ones.
So have you?
It's tragic.
Have you put together? I know there's been a couple theories floating around as far as kind of how that water wall happened. I mean, have you kind of put together anything on that?
I mean, I just think that little town's kind of in a bowl anyhow. If you ever drive through there, it kind of lays low, and the rain just hung there. You get 18 inches of rain. Where's it going to go?
It's unbelievable.
It's just sad. I mean, we got hit too. We had, I think, about 25 that had to leave their homes here in Dickson. I don't think people really realize that we got hit too.
Yeah.
There were several that had to hang out at the YMCA. Thank goodness for that. Yeah.
A couple businesses. I had some clients as well too that just had some groundwater flooding. They were just in a weird spot, and it was one of those 100-year kind of things.
Yeah. Hopefully it won't ever happen again. Not even in 100 years. But
hopefully.
who knows?
Yeah. Well, it seems like those 100-year deals are spiking a little bit, because I mean, hell, we had the 2010 flood in Nashville too.
I don't know about that 100-year theory.
I don't either.
More like 10 years maybe.
And it was unfortunate because it's not really in a flood zone, so flood insurance wasn't typically. And apparently, what FEMA's doing isn't too dramatic. So I think everybody's
but what the community is doing is magic,
unbelievable.
Man. And it's that's one thing I've always said. Why can't we be like that all the time? But it's amazing what comes out of people when disaster strikes. And how we come to the fore, and there's no religion, there's no race, there's no anything but just other human beings helping human beings. And I pray that one day we can be like that all the time, not just when disaster strikes, but it's a beautiful thing to see when everybody comes together.
It is.
And loves on one another.
opens their heart for everybody and is really compassionate towards the situation.
I do love to see that, but it's just a shame it has to
be so conditional. It's got to be so conditional seemingly, and you're absolutely right. And it's going to take people kind of like us and to kind of keep that movement going. I think you as well have just this wild heart, and love unconditionally, and set a very good example, for the masses as well, that not only should it be done, it can be done on a very consistent basis.
I am from this town, and I remember a time when this town was very divided racially and on so many different levels. And I still think I'm 20 in my heart, but I'm fixing to have a birthday, 55. Yay. Woo-woo. I can't wait to get my Goodwill 10% discount in 3 weeks. I'm excited about that. But, I've seen a lot of changes. And when I was a little girl, me and a friend of mine that lived across the street, we were like sisters, black and white. And we said, we're going to change the world, starting with West Piney Road. That's where I grew up.
Okay.
And I think we have. And we work together still down at the Vines. And
that is awesome.
I think this town has really really changed a lot and come a long way in that regard. I'm proud of us. Yes.
I am too. I'm proud of this whole county. The amount of growth that we've seen in the past 7-8 years has been wild, and the amount of people that have come from outside of Dickson and have seemed to be warmly welcomed, and not just residents either, but business owners as well too. There's a lot of business owners that didn't necessarily grow up in the area, and they've been warmly welcomed for the most part.
Yeah, it's funny because people that are from Dickson want to get out of Dickson. I ended up coming back to Dickson because I love my town. I love my county. And I think most of the people here are not from here. It blows my mind, but they're really not, But I love it here. I love seeing the growth. I'm ready for it to kind of stomp a little bit. Maybe we can get an Olive Garden. Well, we don't want an Olive Garden. That'll compete with House of Vines, but maybe a Red Lobster, maybe a Publix, and then I'm done.
Okay. So after that,
we're going to stop.
Just say, all right, let's halt construction at that point.
Nothing else, yeah.
I think another grocery store is definitely needed. A Publix would be lovely. I know that has kind of been in the works behind the scenes for quite some time now, and has been at the closing table, I believe, a couple times, and has just never really come to fruition. So,
it will. I have faith.
I do too.
The law of attraction. We're going to get us a Publix.
Exactly.
It's happening.
Exactly. So where would be the best spot for a Publix, do you think?
I'm terrible with that stuff, but I'm saying maybe, all that land over by Walmart, they could compete with Walmart.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
There's plenty of room there, or out in Tennessee City would be nice. Then I wouldn't have to, we do have a dollar store out there though.
Sure
and
do.
Now there's one in between.
Okay.
Yeah,
so if you can't find one at one, I think Dollar General or the dollar store's business model. I know a guy that digs all the footers for all the Dollar Generals, and he said that their business model is a store every 10 square miles for the most part.
They are geniuses. That's all I know.
Yeah, they do what they do. They just throw them up, and they run people in and out of there. And
they do.
It may not be the most organized or clean store in the whole world, but hey, they've got them, and they make some money and provide a good neighborhood.
And they have beer
store.
Now, so there's
sure
that.
Do yeah. They do. Okay, well let's kind of backtrack a little bit. So you grew up here on West Piney, right?
I did.
Your whole life.
Most of my life, I got married. My mom still lives out at the old home place out there, and Evelyn Booker. A lot of people know Evelyn. She's just a sweetie pie. An artist. She's just the sweetest little thing. She's like, I would like to say that I'm her mini me, but I'm about a foot taller than her, and I'm way meaner. But I strive to be as sweet as she is. She's precious and hilarious.
Okay.
But yeah, she still lives out there where I grew up, and I moved away to Augusta, Georgia. Got married, moved there, had a baby out there. I got a little Georgia peach.
What's her name?
Her name is Jordan.
Okay.
32. I can't believe it.
Wow.
And then I was just so homesick, and he'd say I never we're never going to move to Dickson. I hate Dickson. We're not going to live in Dickson. I was so homesick, so he finally moved. We moved back to Dickson, and he ended up loving it here.
Okay.
We're no longer together. Good guy. But
Okay. Yeah, life happens,
4 babies.
Happen.
Good guy.
Wow. Okay, you almost got a basketball team.
Almost, yeah.
So when did you move back to Dickson?
1992.
Okay, so it was a lot different back then.
Oh my gosh. We rented a house for $250 a month.
Wow.
Right in downtown
Yes.
Dickson. And I loved it. An old house with great big rooms that now would probably, and I think they still rent it. It's probably $1,500 by now or more, I would say.
Makes you almost think you wish you would have kind of bought the house and kept it and rented it out.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. So when you move back to Dickson, obviously it's a lot different than it is now. What did you jump into? And I mean, were you working or kind of just doing your own thing?
Well, my husband had a construction company at the time, and I used to be Jehovah's Witness, so he was a minister, and I kind of was too back in the day. I know people are going, what?
I love that.
What?
You're gonna have to go back to that at some point.
I know. I'm not any longer, but I still respect it, and I'm thankful I had that upbringing. There's probably not a door that was here back then that I haven't knocked on. So that was me. You might have cussed out or shot at or spit at or something. Could have been. My mother still is. So I always tell people I'm not a witness now. So be nice when they knock on your door. They're not doing it now because of the COVID, because that might be my mama, and I will cut somebody over my mama now because I'm not a witness. I will do it. So. But I am not. Now. So that was kind of my life back then, as just being a Bible student and the preaching work. And I helped my husband with the construction company, mainly the bookkeeping end of it. But don't think I can't hang some sheetrock.
Sure, I can imagine you getting down and dirty.
That's right.
For sure.
And, some trim and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I'm too old and weak now, but.
Strong at heart, though.
I am,
Strong
yes.
at heart. So did the construction thing, how long did that last?
For many years. Then I got into antiques. It's kind of in my blood because both sides of the family are kind of junkers. My dad was a mechanic, paint and body guy. So matter of fact, I just drug his old 48 Ford that to my house in Tennessee City. It's the only car he ever kept like his whole life. And, I'm going to put rest in peace on it because Lord knows I can't afford to restore the thing. But it was running when he died. He kept it running. Unfortunately, we didn't really fool with it. Sure. But it's going to make a pretty flower garden. But
cool.
Yeah, I'm going to plant flowers around it. So you're just going to take the engine
out of it and...
No, I'm just going to leave the engine right in that thing and just,
plant
just
flowers
sit
all
there.
around it. And
absolutely. Like I cried when we moved it. But it's my mom and dad's first car. I came home from the hospital in it, okay? And I look at it and I'm thinking, damn, am I that old? That's what they drove home.
Probably no seat belts or car seat or anything.
No, nothing. Baby in the floorboard, kind of thing. But so I've always kind of, had a thing for junk and upcycling and redoing and making old things new kind of thing. So I ended up buying an antique store. My husband and I both did, actually.
Was it in downtown?
It was actually, right over here, Yesterday's Treasures Today, now the big yellow one.
Oh, cool. That's a really good one.
And I'm actually still there. My friends bought it for me 5 years ago now. They just had their 5-year anniversary, and I came with a building. They can't get rid of me. I still do the bookkeeping and have a booth there. And once you get in the junk business, you don't get out. But that's mainly what I did, decorating and, upcycling things before it was cool. That's what I was doing.
Upcycling. I've never heard that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Taking a piece of junk and making it look cool. I love rust.
Where'd you source your stuff? I mean,
just, you go to auctions and junk stores, and then what happens when you buy a big antique mall is people bring it to you. And then after doing it your whole life, you literally have like, warehouses full of the stuff, and then you sell your antique mall, and guess what? You still have warehouses full of the stuff. So I will be in this business until I die.
Yeah.
And then my kids will hate me because I don't feel one bit guilty. They can have a yard sale.
All the warehouse full of stuff.
All of it. Yeah, they can just... So none of them love it like I did. So.
Have you interacted with the American Picker guys at all?
They do come around, actually. Cool. Yeah, they hit Dickson. They were in Dickson the other day. I saw where Mama's Memories, they stopped by there. So they probably stopped by Yesterday's, too. Because that place has been there like 25 years now. So
yeah, that's a great store. So they're out of Columbia, though, aren't they? I'm pretty sure. One of them maybe lives there.
I don't even know.
Or maybe Leaper's Fork area.
Yeah, and then Nashville,
there.
they have that big, huge one in Nashville. But it's more for looks, I think.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, but they do, they do hit us here and there.
That's so awesome.
It's fun. It's really a fun business, and I'm still in it, and I enjoy it, but I just have to make myself not buy anything else because I have a lifetime supply.
I'm sure that's tough, though.
At this point.
So no more filling up the warehouse then?
Oh, it's still full. I've barely put a dent in it. It's much stuff.
Is the warehouse on site too?
Here's the warehouse. I'm going to describe to you a warehouse. Okay. It's a 2-bedroom, single wide 1960s Montclair trailer.
Okay.
That sits in my grandmother's backyard. I live in my grandmother's old house. And then her 1.5 car garage. Wow. And it's full to the ceiling because I had everything stored in the antique mall. So when I sold it, obviously, I had to move it. So that's my warehouse.
Do you have a specific kind of, love for any kind of individual type of antiques at all? Or is it all over the board?
I really love primitive.
Primitive what?
I love primitives. Primitive everything. That means it needs to be rusty. It needs to have about 8 layers of lead paint on it that's chipping off of it. That's what I love. Rust. I love pottery. I like it to be chippy because I feel sorry for it.
It tells a story. It's like scars almost,
It is, yeah. I want the stuff that nobody else does. So I have like a whole cabinet of all my chippy pottery because I always say it's kind of like people. It's so beautiful, and the flaws, I just love it even more because nobody else wants it but me. It's my little misfits.
I'm a huge underdog fan. I've kind of lived that way my whole life as well too. Those are typically the ones that have the best stories too. I feel like
the characters.
They do, yeah.
I love the characters.
Yeah. And it's because they have stories of overcoming kind of trials and tribulations and, being dragged through the mud, but still moving forward kind of thing. That's what life's all about.
Yeah, I think the people who rise from the ashes, so to speak, the ones that were, timid and afraid to express themselves when they're little or teenagers or even as they grow up, and then suddenly they that courage wells up inside of them like a fire. You can't stop it anymore. And all of a sudden you become who you're supposed to be. And you don't give a shit what anybody thinks.
At all.
You are just who you are, take it or leave it. And those are the ones.
Those are the game changers right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think brings that out in people? Is it a specific event or is it, what is it?
I think it's kind of, we're born with knowing, to me, you kind of, if you watch children, you already kind of know what they want to do. And we kind of laugh at it. Oh, they're playing like they're a fireman or this or that or a singer or, a writer, a teacher, whatever. But really, you can kind of see what they were born to be. But I think we I don't know. We take that out of them. We don't mean to as parents, I think. We kind of mold them. We want them to be what religion we are. We want them to follow in our footsteps rather than letting them be who they're supposed to be. And eventually that's going to come out.
Oh, yeah.
You put them in that little mold. You send them to school in little uniforms like little robots lined up. And they can't, they've got to be who they are. The lucky ones do it when they're younger. Mm-hmm. It takes some of us getting older and realizing this is not me. Yeah. And you know it all along.
Yep.
You know it all along, but you're afraid of what people are going to think.
Yep.
You're going to lose everything and everybody in your life, but then you just can't take it anymore. You break free, you spread those wings, and there you go. So parents, when you see those little ones and they're, let them throw a fit every once in a while. Leave them alone. Don't beat them too much. Let them be who they need to be. And
there's a careful balance between, social acceptability and complete, tyranny almost. It's so I know you're kind of into this stuff as well too, but so children, their brainwave state between the age of 0 and 7 is called Theta State. So that is the state that your brain is when you're sleeping and having dreams. So literally, as you're saying, you can kind of watch children and see a true story because that's exactly what it is. It is pure, unfiltered life coming through a child, and once they progress past the age of 7, they've kind of been quote unquote conformed to whatever social acceptable norms are at that time. But there are plenty of teachers out there or scientists that say adults actually should be learning more from their children than children should be learning from, their parents for the most part. Obviously, we've got to keep them safe and fed and healthy and all the normal things. But to watch a child play, you say that they're a fireman or a teacher or they pretend they're a mom. In their mind at that point in time, that's what they are.
So
I mean, they literally are in alignment with that and are acting it out on a day-to-day basis. And feel no remorse for it whatsoever and believe it completely, and for those, the parents that, say that's stupid or you shouldn't do that or blah, 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 that hurts my heart so bad,
and the older I get, the less I keep my mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help it. I nicely, and I can remember being a young parent and, thinking, for instance, my first daughter is perfect. All my children are perfect, let's face it. But my first one made her bed. She was neat. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. And then 10 years later, I had Alex Ray, who I absolutely adore, but he was having none of it. We thought Jordan was like that because of us. And we read scripture and we taught her, da-da-da-da. And then I would look at children like Alex, who I absolutely adore and who is a minister and a Spitfire, 23, just I adore him. He's more like me than the rest of them. And, he was going to do it his way or the highway, or he was going to lay on the floor and throw a fit. He was having none of it. And I would look at him and think, what is happening here?
Sure.
What is happening here? Because here's Jordan, who we thought was because of our perfect parenting. And then 10 years later, Alex Ray shows us how wrong we were.
Sure.
It's like, Jordan was just Jordan. That's who she is still. That's who she was. It just so happened, that she was born a neat freak, not, quiet, little sweet, little prissy. And then here's my little fire child.
Wild man.
The wild man.
Yeah.
He showed us the way. We ate many words.
Well, I can imagine.
Him. They are who they are.
They are. And their
Bottom line.
Children are here. It's the parents. Yes, they do have to teach, life lessons. But, as I said before, that it's not a mistake that you're, when you decide to have a child, that you have the child that you have, because, obviously you were pretty involved in Jehovah's Witness and kind of believe in that aspect of life. You're not an atheist that I think. And not to put it kind of in a structured box, but kind of just a belief in a higher power is, a whole different realm for those that, kind of just write it off. But, that the children are here to teach us something about ourselves as well, too, to teach us kind of what we're made of. You had a nice little child and who was perfect and prissy. And then here comes, the wild one, which I've got the same thing. I've got kind of almost the exact same thing. And, you learn a lot about yourself as a person and your emotional stability and kind of your mental capacity for handling different situations when you get thrown something like that.
Yes, I was learned that I wasn't the patient person that I thought I was. That's what I learned with Alex Ray. He taught me patience. And like I said, he's more like me than anything. But he's just like my brother Jim. So we would laugh and I would say, why did I have your child? This is supposed to be your child, because that's how he was when I was little, when we were little. And he knows it too. And of course they love each other dearly because of it. But then how many kids do you have?
Two.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you need to have 2 more, because it took the last one before I realized, the other 2 were just guinea pigs.
Okay.
That's just the bottom line. But something about that third one, you just don't care anymore. So you let them do whatever they want to do. And he's the most calmest.
Okay.
Nothing ruffles his feathers. Big old boy, my Alva. He's fixing to be 21 in 2 days. I can't believe it. Don't blink, man.
So now you can finally drink at your
That's
establishment.
old people talk.
Yeah.
Don't blink. But I mean it. It's like, what happened? I have all these grown kids and grandkids and
Oh boy, you got
Yes,
grandkids
he's
too.
excited about that he can legally
Yes.
buy a drink.
Yeah, I'm sure he never drank before.
Never, ever. I didn't find any beer bottles in his room when I cleaned it yesterday. None. He doesn't live here anymore, and I hadn't went in his room in like 3 months. I would peek in there and go, oh, no, I can't do it.
Is he at least drinking good beer?
Well, I think it was Corona or something.
That's
I don't know.
Bad. Okay.
And I'm like, Alva. Of course, I call him fussing at him. And he's like, Mom, in 2 days I'm going to be 21. And of course, my first thing is, where did you get it? And I'm like, never mind. Never mind.
I know when I was under the drinking age, the Hey Mister game was always a good one. You know,
Yeah.
You'd have about $20 and want a 6-pack. Like, hey, I'll give you $20 if you go buy me this 6-pack. And
Well, I had a dad that would do that for us, and I always, now I know why all the teenagers wanted to be at my house. My cool dad, quote unquote.
That's what my parents said too. You know, they obviously, because it's like kind of keeping a dog on a chain almost. That if you don't, like you said, if you kind of hold people back and if you suppress a lot of things and keep them in this bubble, then as soon as the bubble pops or they let loose from the chain, then there they go.
You gotta find that balance.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta find that balance. And, Jesus said, be like the little children, not the teenagers.
Yeah.
So, hey, there you go.
Wow.
But, this is always my thing. We send our children off to fight at 18, but they can't have a drink. That always blows my mind.
And
not that I'm encouraging alcoholism or children drinking, but I'm just like, some things do not make sense in this world.
Yeah. Well, now they can't buy tobacco products until they're 21 either.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
There should be something's not right about that.
I agree. There's
Which I think they should never be able to buy cigarettes, but that's just mama.
Sure.
That's the mama in me.
Understood completely. I think that's.
I do smoke when I gamble though.
Okay.
And I do smoke cigars, so I'm kind of being a hypocrite.
No.
Cigar.
As my grandfather says, moderation in all things. Moderation in all things. It's kind of like the yin and the yang. You've got the order and the chaos, and if you get too far on either side, then your life is either completely chaotic or full of tyranny and control. So you just kind of walk that middle border there and straddle, the known and the unknown almost. And that's how I live my life, at least.
That's what I'm saying. You're on that dang, what is that thing you ride around? I mean, if that's
the one wheel, baby. Yeah,
the one wheel. The one wheel. Never let me get on that. If I've had a drink, just say no, Tab. Remember that time? And then I'll be like, no, I can do it. I know I can. I can't even ride a bicycle. Okay.
What?
You see this scar and this, I mean, that was, no, don't ever let me get on. No matter how much I beg you, don't do it. I'm convincing.
Well, if I've had a couple of drinks, I'm pretty
you might
easily
let me
persuaded.
Do it.
Yeah. So, and I think the times that we bump into each other, we've both probably had several drinks. So this conversation may go out the window pretty damn quick.
I hope so.
All right. So when did you get hooked up with House of Vines? How did that happen? You've turned that into a good spot.
So whenever I sold the antique mall, I had no idea what I was. Actually, I didn't even think I was going to stay at the antique mall. I was like, I love to write, and I'm not a great singer, but I love to sing. But I really love to write. I love to write anything. I love to write songs, and I thought, well, maybe this will give me the opportunity to kind of record some of my stuff that I've written and maybe pursue that more. And then I ended up working at the antique mall. They're like, hey, we hate doing the bookkeeping. Randy and Kathy Bryan, my dear friends, own it. And actually, I write with Randy some. We just had our first cut. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Like 3 months ago. So I ended up staying there doing their bookkeeping because they literally hated it. They're like, look, we'll pay you really good money if you'll stay and do the bookkeeping. I'm like, well, okay, let me see how this is going to work. I'd been literally doing it on paper, and you're talking 100 vendors in this store by hand on paper for years. And they're like, how are you even doing this? I'm like, I just do it. I've done it for so long. And they built me this nice computer program and all this fancy stuff that I never had. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. So I was working for them, and about 2.5 years in, Dan and Sharon approached me. They had bought a building downtown and said, and I knew they were kind of mulling around what to do with it. They took me over, and I had told you, like, I used to be a decorator. I still kind of do it a little bit, but they're like, we're thinking of putting a wine bar here. What do you think? Do you think Dickson is ready? I'm like, yeah, I do. Can't even open a bottle of wine with a cork. I mean, it has to be, but yeah, I think they're ready. Let me decorate it. And I literally standing there could see this big empty square, like what it was going to look like. I said, oh, let's do this. Let's put an art ledge. We're going to do mix and match everything and da 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 da. And they're like, well, here's the thing. We don't just want you to decorate it. We want you to do it because we don't want anything to do with it. And we're not going to do it if you don't do it. I'm like, well, that's no pressure.
None at all.
No pressure. Let me think about that for a minute. So we talked about it and molded around. And hey, by the way, we can have a drink on Main Street. I never thought that would happen. Like 10 years ago, if you would have told me that, I'd be like, y'all are nuts. Mm-hmm. But my generation has come along and took over, and we're like, we're having a drink on Main Street. We're going to get some money, revive this town. But anyway, so I really had to think about it because I didn't want to leave Randy and Kathy.
Sure.
So I've got my good friends over here, Dan and Sharon, my good friends over here. So I had this, nobody knew. I had one friend that I told about it, and he was like, well, just pray about it. And what does your gut tell you? And I'm like, well, why can't I do two things? He's like, well, why can't you do two things? And so I approached Randy and Kathy that own the antique mall, and I said, look, here's what's happening. I think I can keep doing the bookkeeping if I'm not really scheduled. If you guys will work with me, let's try it a month or two. Let me just come in and do it because I'm a night owl anyhow.
Yeah.
When I can, and still be able to do the wine bar.
Okay.
And they're like, let's try it. I'm like, okay, well, there's my answer. So I was a nervous wreck, but I was like, let's give it a go because this is something I had a little cafe inside the antique mall, so I was familiar with, the food end of it, but not the rest of it.
There's food in there?
There used to be when I had it. I had a little cafe in there that said about 30 people. Very small, just open on the weekends. Yeah, it was really cool. Live music. They still have the live music there.
Cool.
Yeah, so fun place. But so that was... Actually, last month was our 2-year anniversary, but there was so much going on we hadn't celebrated. So y'all kind of look on Facebook because we're just going to have a simple celebration, but we'll be celebrating our 2-year anniversary. Made it through the COVID, yay! But Thank it's God. Been really Big fun learning something new. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So because we had so much support during that, both the Antique Mall and House of Vines, House of Brews, all the businesses downtown that done curbside. That's the customers were so good to us. They really were helping us stay up and running 2 years. But it was fun, and I was like, I don't know anything about wine. The food thing I can do. But the rest of it, and Dan Smith is like, I'll hire people to teach you. I'm like, cool. Okay, I can learn something new. The first thing I need to know is how to, use wine. A corkscrew, and that's number one. That would be nice. And
so you're a beer drinker by trade, I guess. Well, or liquor, or
I'm a vodka girl.
I love vodka. What's your favorite vodka?
I'm not real picky. I like a little Sky, a little Smirnoff.
Okay. Any Tito's?
I love me some Tito's.
Tito's is my jam.
I've
gotten into Tito's, and so I'm trying to be a little more health conscious about my life. So Tito's, I've been doing Tito's and water with a lime, about a 50-50 split, and the lime cuts it just as good, so there's no hangover.
There you go.
And it goes down a little too easy sometimes. But shout out to Tito's for being so dang smooth too. I'm not picky, but I do only have really one choice. Not choice, but I only really choose one thing typically when it comes to vodka.
Yeah, that's kind of me. Well, not really. I'll drink it. Whatever you got, I'll take it.
Sure.
Yeah, a little splash of cranberry, I'm good.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's healthy. Cranberry juice is healthy.
It is, yeah.
Tonic water is good for you.
Yeah.
It helps you not to, it's got that quinine in it.
Yeah.
If you can find it with quinine in it.
Yeah. Little pineapple juice every now and then.
Some pineapple juice. That's what I'm saying.
That's a good beach drink right there. Mm-hmm. All right, so they brought in. I always love hearing the stories of, because that's business straight up. Is everybody from the outside looking in always is like, oh, they always, if the business is running well, from the outside looking in, everybody's kind of like, oh, you really know what you're doing, and blah 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 But from the inside looking out, nobody has a fucking clue what's going on. Like a lot of times, like you've got a vision, and yes, you're good at some things, but every day is just something new and a new issue that's got to be resolved or overcome or something like that. And running, especially starting a business, is just complete chaos right off the bat. And you're starting a wine bar, helping run a wine bar, not
even knowing how it's
going
to go over. But that's the thing. Dan and Sharon take chances.
Cool.
They always have with this town, and I don't even really think about them being my bosses. They are. Same thing with Randy and Kathy. It was a big deal for me to sell them all, and a big deal for them to buy it. Mm-hmm. But people that take chances on this town, and now look how it's thriving, because really, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, you're taking a big chance on Main Street. Now, oh my God, you can't even get a building down there. Forget it. Mm-mm. It's not happening. We're packed. And I just absolutely love it. And let me tell you what I love about our little town. We all love each other. We all eat at each other's restaurants. We shop at each other's store. We support one another. If somebody's got something going down, we all try to help. And I'm getting a little teary-eyed talking about it because it's the truth. Mm-hmm. We're all friends and not competitors. We don't consider each other competition. We want each other. We're right across the street from Lugo's, for heaven's sakes. Mm-hmm. I mean, who can beat them? Little bite of everything. They laughed the other day because this is how lazy I am, which really I couldn't leave. I DoorDashed little bite of everything, which if y'all don't know this is 3 doors down. I'm like, look, y'all, it's worth $3 a tip for me not to have to walk down there to get it.
I bet the DoorDash guy was like, hold on a minute.
He was like, I drove all the way back around. I could have just stayed where I was at. I'm like, you didn't know we were just right up the street? He's like, I'm confused. Why didn't you just walk down there and get it?
Up, go to the end of South Main,
do a whole really leave. And I was really wanting some maple bacon fries. If you had those, heavens to Betsy.
God, that sounds good.
You gotta.
I usually get there when I go there. I guess it's the Southwestern chicken salad or something like that. Yeah, it's awesome.
But we all have such good food. Everybody works so hard. Everybody's having such a hard time keeping employees right now. So
how is that looking for you?
Right now, I have an excellent staff.
Good.
Thank goodness. I have a good kitchen staff. I've hired a couple of new servers. I've got a couple new people in the kitchen. And then I've got some people. My Keisha has been with me from the beginning. She's my right hand. And then Tawana that I was telling you about that I grew up with. She comes in and does most of the baking. Keisha's become an excellent baker as well. But I just have a really, really good staff I'm really proud of.
How did you source your staff? Would you kind of hand pick them or open
some
invitation?
People, I mean, I've got a couple of girls that I grew up with, and I was like, look, I know how much you love me, and I really need help. Can you please come and work? I've got one girl, Cheryl, we graduated together, and she literally comes one night a week all the way from Nashville in her scrubs just because she loves me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, to work that evening. And then another Cheryl who also I graduated with, that's the server. And I know she's just doing it because she loves me.
Sure.
I know that's why.
A lot of people love you, it seems
but
like.
She's, we've been together through thick and thin. A lot of us have. Tawana and I have been too. And, she's like, got a lot of, she don't feel good a lot of times. She comes in and bakes.
Okay.
The heck out of some stuff. And her grandmother was the pastry chef at a restaurant that you won't remember, but a lot of people, hopefully some people that are listening will remember East Hills Restaurant. Yeah. It was where, like across from, what is there now? Eckerd's? No, they're building an office thing. It's like across from Walgreens. It was there for many years, but Tawana has
where the CVS was?
Yes,
okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Tawana has all of her grandmother, Miss Nora Holt's recipes that she won't even let us glance at.
Ooh.
Still in her writing.
Wow.
And so a lot of the desserts we have are Miss Nora Holt's desserts from back all those years ago. So, and
that's
Tawana
so
comes in and makes them very special.
Wow.
Because her grandmother was a wonderful human and
sounds like a wonderful cook too.
All those things. Yeah.
Wow. What is your kind of employee retention or turnover look like. I'm always interested. I know in the service industry, especially the restaurant business, it's back and forth, but it sounds like, you've at least got a couple, core people that stay around.
I do. I have several that have stuck with me, and then there's always 2 or 3 that come and go, or they can't. It's hard. It's hard work. Mm-hmm. Whether you're a server or in the kitchen. And then I've got a couple of girls that can do either or. I have my Lauren. She's serving today, but she can do the kitchen or, and I love that. I have several that are willing just to pitch in and do whatever they need to do. But I mean, every 2 or 3 months, you're going to lose somebody and have to replace them. And sometimes it's 2 or 3, and it can be very stressful. So a shout out to all these businesses that are trying to keep them. So be nice to your servers.
Yeah, be nice. Just
because they are working their butts off a lot of times, double shifts.
Yep.
To make
tip
up for
them well
it.
Too. Like I am a huge fan of tipping. Just, I mean, at least these people are freaking showing up.
They are showing up.
There's so many people that just don't show up.
I mean, that's just the fact. And can I just say that I have 4 young people. I have 3 kids that work in my kitchen that are 16 years old. And let me tell you what, they are there. They don't call in sick.
Wow.
They are working their heinies off. And I'm so proud of them. One of them has been with me for 9-10 months now. And I'm just so proud of the young people that are willing to, I mean, they give up their weekends to work.
Wow.
So
there is a little hope for humanity there.
Absolutely. Huh? A shout out to those kids.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Big shout out.
It's amazing. To them. And they work too. They show up. They're, so that, but I can't get adults. But I love these kids that want to come and work,
And that's surprise. The kid aspect of it is, because it seems like that generation, our kids these days.
The kids these days. That was an old people thing too.
Yeah, right. They seem, this sense of entitlement seems to run rampant kind of through that generation, and instant gratification. You're always living on social media, and that little like or comment on your post or extra follower or something like that gives you that boost of serotonin, instantly, and people kind of start to live and die by just that model in general, whether it be via technology or just interacting with people. And I feel like if they're not getting those dopamine, serotonin drips every now and then or every so often, their brain seems to kind of misfire on some things. And I just see it quite often, and no judgment at all, because it's a product of your environment. But to hear, and I see kids working a whole lot as well too, at other places. Elizabeth has got some younger girls that work there and work their butt off, and it's just good to see that. All the stuff online, obviously isn't necessarily true for an entire spectrum of people. And
I'm proud of my kids, and I've had several kids, over the past 2 years that have worked and graduated and went on, but they've, they show up, they're there, and they work hard. I'm proud of them.
That's
very
awesome.
Proud of these kids that I have, and I become their mama. I like being everybody's mama or grandmama.
Yeah, I can imagine having you as a boss would be rather interesting and fun.
Well, I hope it is. I can be kind of direct, so I give him a lecture in the beginning. Don't get your feelings hurt. I'm very direct whenever I'm working, but I will love you like a mama. Just think of me as your mama. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I think that's kind of the case a lot with a lot of the downtown business owners, that I'm talking to, is that they hell, I know Elizabeth is as well too. She pretty much just tells everybody as soon as they walk in, if you can't handle some cussing in Southern
She
mouth,
has the best help wanted ads that have ever been written in the history of help wanted ads. Like, I want to come to work for her on my days off. And I crack up every time I see it. I mean, I'm like, yeah, let me just go up there on my Monday off.
Yeah,
and work for Elizabeth.
Just jump
but I
behind
think
the
she's
counter.
Closed
She's closed on Mondays, unfortunately.
Yeah, because I have Cheryl. Like I said, that we've grown up together. People are mortified because I do did you do this? Some people call it micromanaging. I like to call it giving attention to details. I'm aware that I do that, but and she'll say, "Shut up, bitch," and the girls will go, What is happening here?" They have no idea that we've always known each other, and I just go on like nothing. I'm like, "You can't talk to me like that. Only she can."
Oh wow, I love it. I love it. Yeah, and I think you're and I've talked about it a lot too on previous episodes. You're right on point about how the downtown business owners and patrons even too handle each other and interact, and how symbiotic kind of the entire relationship is with everybody. It's just it's so great, you know. And I've mentioned it a couple times before, like Justin smokes some grains for Chris Gadd, you know, to make an amber beer, which is, you know, obviously coincidentally his wife's name as well too, Justin's wife. You know, and I think he's gonna help work with Elizabeth on some things as well too. And you know, Chris is looking to kind of distribute his beer to some other places. So. And everybody kind of welcomes the idea.
Everybody
with open arms.
works together. Elizabeth and I, actually, we've been working on this for like 9 years, but because we're both so busy. But we've got a thing that we're gonna hopefully start doing soon that we're excited about too. But you know, even like the gelato place in White Bluff, she brings her stuff. Like I think a little bite of everything. What's the name of that? It's the one in White Bluff, and they've been helping. I'm terrible with names.
Oh, Sweet Teas.
Is it Sweet Teas?
Sweet
Yes.
Teas, yeah.
Oh,
over there at
Precious.
in the
Precious.
Pappy's Pizza.
We were hoping to do it, but we can't get our freezer to do the gelato correctly. But like, you know, it's not just the downtown; it's the whole county.
Yep.
We all try to work together, and the live music. Oh my God, that was one of the things when we started Vines and Yesterday's Treasures. We always had live music there, and Randy and Kathy, thank goodness, continue that every Tuesday night. You can go to Pick and Play at Yesterday's Treasures.
Okay,
it's like a round anybody can play.
Cool.
It's like a little jam session. And then I said I want to have live music here. I want a stage. I want people just to be able to come and plug in, share their stuff, not just covers. And I love it that not just us, but brews, all up and down the street. You can come in here, Furnace.
Yep.
You know, they quite often have live music. The Park, you can go hear music. Last night, I went in events when the jazz band was practicing. You can go take a peek in there when they're practicing.
Okay.
So, you know, I mean, I just love all the music that's happening on Main Street. I love it so much. That's my thing. That's my passion.
I agree. I was in a DDA, Downtown Dickson Association meeting yesterday morning, and that was kind of one of the topics of conversation that came up was kind of what events would you like to see downtown. And one of my inputs was, we've got a lot of music, but I would love to just keep that trend going as well. You know, I don't necessarily foresee it or nor do I really want it to turn into this Nashville scene, but I think our proximity to Nashville, we
are, baby. What are you talking about? We're like a little baby Broadway down there.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting there. The walkability and just hearing the drum beats and the guitars through the windows and just like being able to just feel that whole vibe up and down Main Street is so killer. I mean, it brings so much life to Main Street too.
Amazing.
And you mix it with such good food as well. I mean, I can't pick any restaurant on Main Street or really in Dickson that just sucks. I think that this town, this county in general is attracting a lot of talent with people that may not necessarily want to pay the Nashville rents or are tired of the big city life, and they've got a real talent for food or the arts or something like that, and they come and plant their roots and have a little land. And I know Main Street's getting eat up, but I kind of see a little bit of the Leaper's Fork action going on to where some of these older houses will start being rezoned commercial, and you can put a business in there, and it'll be a really neat older house with a restaurant or a shop or something in there.
Absolutely.
And just expand the downtown district a little bit.
And actually, the man who started Leaper's Fork, it's funny you said that, actually came in a few months ago, and he was blown away.
What do you mean started Leaper's Fork?
He began he didn't create Leaper's Fork, but all the puckets and all that area and made it what it is. He was blown away by Dickson. He was just like, loved that the town had been revived because it had been a while since he had been there. Loved it.
That's
Loved
awesome.
the town.
Has he been wanting to come into Dickson?
Well, I don't know.
I don't either.
I mean, he was checking it out.
Yeah,
so
he
who knows?
in around town.
Yeah, he's, That's
a really cool spot too. I think it would be a great fit somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot of stuff started, so who knows? But at this point, I mean, we're so full now. I think everybody kind of one by one. Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what all those, all the buzz with the post office and the old building where you got your tags. What's going to happen with? I mean, you hear all these rumors. Like, what's going to happen with all that? We need more parking. Hello, somebody get us some more parking.
Yeah,
I've been teasing Leonard about putting a parking garage in his spot right there. We need some more.
There's
parking.
a couple good spots that would be some good parking garages. I think a parking garage would be key. Now, obviously, it's a heavy investment.
It's the money.
It's a heavy investment that would see a slow return, but is necessary. Honestly. Now, the big parking lot across, from Katie's and back alley and all that is good, but it fills up quick. And then your other options are either going to be in that church parking lot right there or on the street or, the parking lot across from Mulberry Mill as well too. But still, I mean, you start getting some traffic down here.
And thank goodness they let us use it because how sweet of these people that.
Absolutely.
Which I know the one is the city, but there's several that are not. But out of the goodness of their heart,
there's not any of these no parking except for XYZ type stuff going on. But and yes, I am extremely excited about these new developments that are coming in as well too. The post office is going to be something extremely special. They're starting to, obviously you've got, Miss, what's her name? The Backwoods, Miss Daisy's. Is that what it is?
I haven't made it down there yet. Somebody was going to bring me food and they were closed one day, but I can't wait to try it. But I mean, my mouth waters just seeing everybody's posts.
Yeah. And that's kind of the Wild West of downtown right now. I mean, that's really the most underdeveloped portion of the downtown district. And, Ron Runyon has done a great job, and Andy Truman kind of bringing in some tenants for that. I guess the Mulberry Lane, Mulberry Lane building. So
I used to have an antique booth in there. That's one of the places I started. Yeah,
and that's where the pink hydrangea was too.
It was. And actually, Miss Ruby Reynolds just passed away this week. That owned all that for many, many years. Her family started that Hamilton.
Okay.
Used to be Hamilton Place. The Hamiltons owned it back in the day.
How about that?
Yep, she just passed away. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, and if if there is that old Lamastus lot next to the post office as well too, there's a whole story behind that, but I'm not going to get into it. So, and then Red Cat Flats, right across the street. Everybody kind of seems to have that as background noise, but what an amazing addition to downtown.
Amazing.
So
I'm
beautiful.
telling you, when they take and there's so many old buildings that I can see them doing, that are just kind of sitting there that I can see somebody grabbing up and doing something with. I would love to see us have a homeless shelter, not necessarily right in downtown. I do think we need one. I love the organization's new House of Hope and New Beginnings. I think they changed it to something else, but they're having something coming up, a fundraiser. So I'm definitely supportive of that. Just maybe not right in downtown. It seems like it should be closer to the interstate kind of thing to me. But, we got a lot of big-hearted people in Dickson.
Absolutely.
That want to help one another and those that don't have much or anything. And I love that idea. A lot of potential out there. I love my little town and everybody in it for, reaching out and supporting one another. And I couldn't be more thrilled looking back on how things have evolved. Yeah. And it's kind of mind-blowing.
So quickly, too.
Yeah.
And the majority of the leadership is kind of, is on board with everything going on. And this controlled growth is extremely key to a lot of it as well. I mean, you can grow and you can grow quickly, but it can't be out of control because then you're going to end up with like a Murfreesboro situation to where everything's just chaotic.
We're slowly, eventually if we aren't already becoming a suburb of Nashville because people are moving here. It's like Marietta to Augusta. You can't even drive through it. Not Augusta. Atlanta has taken it over. It just keeps spreading. People move here. You can't buy a piece of property here. 10 years ago, you could get it for nothing.
Yep. And I think kind of one good thing that'll save us from, becoming completely enveloped, by the Nashville scene is Cheatham County, the Kingston Springs area, because the topography there, you're pretty much sitting on, the Harpeth River and the South Harpeth River, where there's bluffs and drop-offs and ravines and all that. So the topo there is just so up and down. And, I'm sure that area of Kingston Springs is kind of a millionaire and billionaire's playground. You've got the Golf Club of Tennessee. You've got some pristine property out there. There's a lot of country music artists that live out there and have a lot of property. And, there's not necessarily too terribly much room for commercial development either. The downtown area is kind of what it is, and it's surrounded, it's right there on the water for the most part, and they're building houses kind of around it. Really the only other commercial area is right when you get off the interstate. So, and then you've got that whole void between Bellevue and Kingston Springs, and I grew up in Bellevue, and it's taken until, these past 2 years for Bellevue to turn in. Bellevue used to be the boondocks, used to be the country. And now it's turned into just its whole kind of satellite city of Nashville. And, then you just keep going down 100 and you've got Fairview, which is Williamson County, but it's underdeveloped, and not underdeveloped, but it's not as developed as the rest. So, and then you've got the whole 96 area of Burns. So I think that the Dickson County itself is pretty well, shielded isn't really the right word, but we're just far enough with some buffers in between, and then, the last set of lights before Jackson for the most part, an hour south of Clarksville and an hour north of Columbia with some pretty small towns in between. So, Dickson's got a real opportunity to be just a unique, space to develop, on its own individually, but close enough to talent and to money, with enough space and enough leadership that wants to continue to push to this kind of growth of where we see it going.
Yeah, and people don't want to live right. I hear people saying it took them as long to drive from point A to point B right in Nashville as it would driving from Dickson to Nashville, which you used to could do that in about 40 minutes. You can't do that anymore during rush hour. Forget that. Not happening.
Nope.
Not happening.
I take my kids to school in Nashville. They go to St. Anne's over there, and it's no traffic. It's 35 minutes one way, so it's about 70 minutes round trip. But if you hit traffic, it's about an hour and a half. Or a little. It's pretty much an hour and a half.
I admire you for doing that. Mine got on the school bus, get your butt to school until my daughter could drive.
Sure, yeah.
I admire parents that do that. That's a lot.
It is. It is. But it's they love it. Unfortunately, most of their friends do live in Nashville, so we've kind of got two separate friend groups as well too. We got
How old are the babies?
9 and 5.
Wow.
So I have a 9-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl. 4th grade and kindergarten. So my daughter, Andy Rose, is a ginger like me, and a wild ass. And we got a note home the other day from her new kindergarten teacher that she's known for about a month that said, Andy Rose said the S word on the playground the other day.
I wonder where she got that from.
And the teacher wouldn't even spell out the whole word. She just put SH*T. And I'm like, we're both
just go on and put the I in there.
Put the I. And last year, this is really funny. We interrupt this episode with a message from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Sassy Pop Boutique. Sassy Pop is a women's clothing and accessory boutique located inside Mulberry Mill in Dickson, Tennessee. Sassy Pop's fashion professionals help their clients find the right style and fit for all body types and sizes. Whether you are an extra small or a 3XL, Sassy Pop Boutique will have you looking your best for all 4 seasons. Check them out on Facebook at Sassy Pop Boutique and on Instagram at Sassy Pop Boutique Dickson. or browse their website for 24-hour shopping and shipping anywhere in the United States at sassypopboutique.com. Now let's get back to it and enjoy the rest of this episode. Funny. Last year in pre-K 2, she got tattled on by one of her friends. And the friend walked up to the teacher and said, Miss Grigsby, Andy Rose said the D word. And Miss Grigsby approached Andy Rose and looked at her and
Which
said...
one?
And she said, Andy Rose, did you say the D word? And Andy Rose said, what D word? And the teacher said it. She was like, did you say damn? And Andy Rose said, no, I didn't say damn. I said shit. And then she wheeled back and said, my mom says it all the time. So we got...
Tell on mama, put it off on mama.
No, yeah.
I love it.
I got told that story at 7:15 in the morning, and I just had about a half a cup of coffee and had to stomach that. But she didn't get in trouble.
It.
I mean, kids are kids. We didn't punish them. I mean, I just feel like words are words. They're 4 letters, that have been interpreted by humans and told that they are supposed to have this meaning, and it's all in how you say it from your heart. You know what I mean? Like that's all it is, and kids will be kids.
One of my favorite, my kid's done many hilarious things, but Jordan, who was our little angel, Miss Suzanne Parham, was her first grade teacher. I adore her.
She was Andy Rose's swim teacher for a while.
She's fantastic, beautiful woman. She called laughing. I said, oh my God, what? She said, is there any way you and Ray both could come in? I'm like, oh my God, this is little Jordan. What are you talking about? She's like, it'll be worth it. I promise. So we go and she meets us at the door, and here's little Jordan all grinning with her long blonde hair, just a little doll, big giant blue eyes. And she says, if you'll notice outside the classroom, everyone has drawn their family photo. Jordan's is so special. I'm going to have y'all help her draw another family photo drawing. And I want y'all to keep this one forever. So she presents us with the photo, and Jordan's grinning from ear to ear. She's so happy because she won like the prize for the best one. And it's Ray and I and Jordan, and we're naked. But we have our glasses on, and I have on high heels. That was great. With all the parts where they're supposed to be, all smiling. And my husband looks at me without even cracking a smile and said, I guess it's time to start wearing some clothes around the baby. Because we're kind of old hippies, throw the kid in the shower with you and all that kind of stuff. And it was just, and my husband was very hairy. So he was like really, and I had my boobs,
Bigfoot.
My big nipples, all of it. But it was stick, people. You would have to see it. We have it somewhere. It's getting lost in the divorce, but believe you me, it's somewhere.
Oh, God,
but
that needs to be
That
revived.
is like my favorite.
That is so funny.
Story ever. So we go home, and of course, we put the picture on the refrigerator. It was the greatest thing ever, and not to
put it on the refrigerator,
and not to make her feel bad too, because she drew our,
she drew it.
We had rainbows and clouds, and we're out in the yard. I guess I don't know.
Didn't realize
my favorite.
That the Booker home was a nudist colony.
It's a nudist colony over there. Don't knock on our door early in the morning.
Optional. Yeah, that's exactly right.
She had a little dress on in her defense. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she was clothed, but everybody else
was clothed. But it was always
naked.
something like that with our kids, and I love it. I miss all that stuff.
They grow up so fast.
Yeah. And then there's Alva, my baby, who hated school so bad until he got a girlfriend. Thank God for that girlfriend. They're not together anymore, but then he wanted to go. But they would try to punish him, and he turned 18. So in his senior year, and I went, and I'm like, please, whatever you do, don't let him know he can quit because he's 18. Mm-hmm. Don't let him have this information. Whatever you do, keep it from him. And they're like, well, he's already going to miss prom because he's missed too many days. I'm like, that's not punishment. He doesn't want to go to prom until he got the girlfriend. Then he was, then it was, he's not going to get to walk down the hill. I'm like, really? I mean, can y'all bring back paddling? That might work.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe. But these things are not going to work. I'm doing everything I can to get him here. And when he graduated, I was like, praise Jesus. This is the best day of my life. Oh, my God. Finally. Oh, this is so awesome. Thank you that he graduated. Here's the diploma. Life size. I blew it up as big as this table.
Put it next to
that
the
was
naked
work.
picture.
That's the hardest I've ever worked in my whole life, is to get that boy
school.
graduated. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I just love hearing stories about people with older children. It just gives me something to look forward to, I guess, right?
Get ready.
Any words of advice for me at the ages of 5
and 9?
I mean,
you need to have that third kid. That's what I'm going to tell you. It'll change everything.
I got 2 dogs and a cat, too.
They don't. So. That does not count. I have a dog named Rodney, a.k.a. Little Shit. But he's like having a kid, kind of. He hates everybody.
Okay.
He's terrible, but I love him. He's 13. He's like a little old man.
Oh, wow. Wow.
He is, but you need that third kid. That's my advice. Just go on, because it'll change everything.
So how far apart are yours in age?
I had my daughter, and then 10 years later, I had 3 boys all in a row, but one is not with us anymore. But I have my 2 boys, 23 and 20, fixing to be 21.
Okay.
And one in between.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
they're spaced apart.
To think about. Anna Claire, if you're listening to this, I guess we have to have a conversation.
Yeah, one more. And it's time, because you got the other 2 in school. And then, so your daughter's how old? 9? So she can babysit. You can teach her to change diapers. I mean, there's so many things, which, I mean, when the baby's older, she can feed him, because I'm a big advocate of breastfeeding. So she's got to nurse the baby. But then when the baby's older, the older daughter, you just let them do it all. You teach them to, to be a good mom, and just let them. See, it's perfect.
So the foxes are going to run the hen house at some point.
It's the perfect scenario. She would be, 11 or 12 by the time you have this child, and you've got your babysitter, and you teach them that they're not babysitting. It's like a pleasure to take care of the baby, and then you don't really do anything at that point. It's the beauty of having that last child.
Put it on cruise control.
Just put it off on the older child. You see,
hope that you raise the other 2.
You raise the child. Go ahead, you do it. I gave birth to you.
You raise it.
I'm your mother. No.
I guess that's a perfect birth control situation.
It's true.
Yeah, it's a good birth control situation.
My daughter's never had children, now that you're mentioning it. She loves them, but she says she never wants any.
Okay.
That may be why.
Yeah.
Because I made her raise the other 2. That could be why.
See, now we're coming to conclusions.
That may be the answer.
Okay.
So in other words, don't take any advice from me.
Or do, whatever. It's all in how it ends up.
I love my babies, though, and my grandbabies.
How many grandbabies do you have?
Well, I actually have one, but I claim 2, because my baby brother's so much younger than me.
Okay.
His baby's like she's going to call me Big Mama. At least I'm trying to make her call me Big Mama.
Big Mama, okay. That's
2 babies in 2020.
Too. Okay.
So there is something good out of 2020.
Cool.
The 2 girls.
2 girls.
Lily Maud and Rain, REIGN, like the Queen, Lively. 2 girls.
Okay.
Yep.
Twins or
No.
Okay.
These are my grandbabies.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And both in 2020.
Wow.
And they're hilarious.
That's
they're
so special.
Gorgeous.
That's good.
One's in Augusta and one's in Nashville.
You just spoil the hell out of them.
Send them packages. I buy them stuff. I've already told them they're always going to have gum, candy, lots of sugar.
Yeah.
Whatever they want.
What is it about grandparents and sugar? That happens to my kids too.
Well, I think, I've thought a lot about it, and I think we're trying to hype the kids up so that they can get some amount of payback for what they did to us.
Doing it out of spite completely.
It's spite. Yeah. It's totally spite.
That seems to happen. My Anna Claire's dad, they call him Mikey. He picked Andy Rose up, my daughter, and we met them over at their house to get her back, and she walked in with an ice cream cone and a milkshake because she had to have food and a drink.
Yes,
yeah.
Food and drink. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Made complete sense.
Yes.
She was
My dad wouldn't even give us ice cream money. Like, we'd be like, and back then, I'm old, it would be like 10 cents. Daddy, can we have a dime? Damn it. y'all are going to run me dry. You think I'm made out of money? And, and then when the grandkids come along, he would like show up with like 5 grocery bags of, cookies and candy. And I'm like, Daddy, you wouldn't give me 10 cents for a daggum ice cream sandwich over here at the elementary school. Dickson Elementary, that's where I went to. Okay. It's still there. Mm-hmm. I don't know how it's still standing, but it's still there. But, it was like, who are you and where is my father? I kind of like you better. But sure. What did you do with my actual daddy? Where is he? Where's that person? And my mom is like, she carried a switch in her purse that we had to go cut ourselves. Carried it with her at all times and would use it anywhere at any time. And if you lay a finger or even raise your voice to a grandchild, it's, all hell will break loose around my mother. You're not going to do it. We're like, Mom, literally? Oh, no. Seriously? Are you kidding?
Did she still hit you with that switch?
She probably would. Absolutely. Yeah. She would like to. I'll put it that way.
I'm sure.
She would like to.
I had to do the same thing, pick my own switch. And it was a couple years ago. I think it was at like a Christmas dinner at my parents' house. We were looking through some old things and there was a cabinet, a china cabinet, and I opened it up and there was the switch. Like
the switch is still there.
Yeah, the switch was still back there where she hid it.
I love it. Yeah.
On the top shelf where I couldn't reach it, but she knew exactly
what it was. Whatever. Sure. My Aunt Ann was the one that would whip you with anything, and we would all get together, and when you're all together, the kids belong to everyone. So you don't know who's going to whoop you. I mean, at any moment in time. It's happening. I hate Kool-Aid to this day. I saw my cousins yesterday, unfortunately, at a funeral. Like, our family's dropping like flies from this damn COVID shit. But, and we always inevitably will talk about this, and the mothers deny it. They're like, y'all are exaggerating. We're like, we're all here. All 17 cousins, and we're like, witness it. We all like concur on that you locked us out and gave us Kool-Aid, and with half the amount of sugar, maybe even a fourth, it should have been there. We all hate Kool-Aid to this day.
Red water.
And that y'all whipped us with sweet. We didn't do any of that. We're like, you've got 17 witnesses here that you did do it, Mama.
Just trying to gaslight the whole situation.
Drink out of the hose pipe. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you have led a very interesting life up this far.
Very simple but interesting, I suppose, life. Sure. I think so, yeah. I just try to enjoy my life. And
any words of advice,
be who you are. That's what I always tell people. Don't.
How can somebody find out who they are?
Yeah. We deny it. Sure. But sometimes you have to give things up. I did. I left behind a lot of things to be able to express myself and truly be who I was, and if you have to do that, I mean, that inside, who you are. You hear that little whisper. You got to listen to the whisper. Be silent, be still, listen, meditate. And you know what your passion is. Mine is music and writing. I love it. And I may not ever make a lot of money out of it, but that's what brings me the most joy. I love people. Yeah. Most of the time I can be a hermit too, but
sure.
But deep inside what you're supposed to be doing. And, I tell people, if something doesn't make you happy, let it go, whether it's a person or a thing. And sometimes that's the hardest thing in the world to do. 'Cause we get comfortable.
Get complacent, We
do.
I want to get back to the band in just a second. But I think that a lot of outside forces influence that as well, too. I think that Absolutely. We're constantly berated with reality TV shows, and if it bleeds, it leads kind of stuff. And we're made to believe that the world is just this, tragic comedy of sorts, to where a lot of things just don't make sense. And it seems like so many things are going terribly wrong. And back to that instant gratification type stuff, it's just like we're constantly distracted, too much so to even find out who we are as people.
I agree 100% because we're so, our minds are so polluted with everything around us, and we don't take the time to be by ourselves and get to it. And it took me a long time to like being, I live alone, I'm by myself. And it took me a long time to really like myself, and then it took me even longer to love me. I didn't like me. I hated me for a long, long time. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. And it took me a long time to get to a place to forgive me, to love all my fat rolls, to love not just inside, but also outside. Because for a while, I mean, we're even conditioned to believe, well, that's not you. I'm on the inside and my real me's on the... Well, you know what? I'm telling you, this body is what I'm walking around on this planet. This is part of me too.
Sure.
You can lose all the weight or gain all the weight or do whatever, have a facelift. But if you can't love yourself now in this body and appreciate this body and respect the body that you're in, that's still you. You're still going to hate yourself.
Sure.
And that's a hard thing to do.
It's really hard.
You know,
it's real hard because we're told that we're supposed to look like Brad Pitt or
absolutely
these Victoria's Secret models. Like that is what we're all supposed to be striving for.
And you know what? I did look like that whenever I was 18 years old, and I still hated myself. Yeah. So you gotta
a lot of those Victoria's Secret models aren't very happy people either.
They're miserable because they starve themselves, and you know, they don't enjoy life. There's no way that you can. I mean, I guess it's nice to look in the mirror with that bod, but
yeah, or feel like other people.
You know, I look at my art, the parts of me that I like the least, and I try to give them love and see it as a separate entity. Even like my belly, my babies grew there. You know, these arms that sometimes I don't like this very much. Like these arms have held those babies and hugged people and loved people, and so I try to tell, especially younger people that are so down on themselves, you know, it's a shame you don't love yourself now when you're 18, that it takes you being 50, 55 to realize, you know, you got to respect and love your body like it is. That is my big thing, being who you are, respecting, loving, take care of yourself, yes, but not everybody's going to be a size 0. By the way, my daughter is. I don't know how she came out of me, but anyway. I'm like, who are you?
Yeah.
I had her at home, so I know she's mine. I'm pretty sure. Didn't mix her up at the hospital. That's my baby.
That's a scary thing to think about. Well, I think you're absolutely right. And that's a really neat topic that a lot of people don't take the time to dive into as far as these earth bodies. I'm of firm belief that we are spiritual beings having a human experience.
Absolutely.
The only thing, our bodies are literal meat suits. You know,
that's what we are. We're wearing around these
vehicles
beautiful
for the soul.
Suits that I believe we picked out way before we came here. We wear many throughout time. This is not the same suit I had on 25 years ago, even 5 years ago. You know.
Yeah. You know, if you believe in reincarnation, you've got to believe in pre-incarnation. You know, this is a very cyclical process. That is a process, you know, with lessons that are meant to be learned. Man, we could get so deep on this.
We could, because I think we came here with a very loosely written script that we wrote before we came. Very loose, a lot of ad libs. People come and go. We don't really know who's going to come into our life necessarily.
Absolutely. I think that there's some boxes that in order to ascend from, you know, a third or fourth dimension into the fifth, sixth, and seventh, or whatever it may be, that there are lessons that must be learned. You know, I don't know if you'd follow the work of Dolores Cannon at all, but she says that she's not necessarily a medium. She was, I think, a podiatrist, not a podiatrist, a foot doctor, but like a Reiki healer. And so some of her clients were mediums for spiritual entities. And so people that had this unique capability to be a medium started hearing about Dolores, and so they started pouring to her. So when she would do her sessions, the medium would come through because they would be in such a relaxed state. And so there was these constant messages from all these higher dimensional beings. And the most constant message was that our main goal here on, she calls it a teaching planet. Earth is a teaching planet, and apparently one of the hardest in all of the universe. Like human experience here is one of the hardest across the vast universe.
Ooh, that means if we're here that we've graduated from all the others.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Exactly right. But we still have some really hard lessons to learn. But that the main message that was portrayed through these mediums was that our sole purpose on Earth is to figure out how to manipulate and manifest energy or our desires. So in order to turn this law of attraction, which is the first step in the whole process, it's actually the least important step because it's so automated. Everybody desires, everybody has wants, everybody has these things that they want to experience in their lives. Everybody does that. What everybody doesn't do is allow it into their life. They're not in the receiving mode.
Receive, yeah.
As Abraham Hicks would say.
I'm a big Abraham fan.
Gosh, she's so great.
That changed my life.
Mine too, 100%.
It began with Wayne Dyer because when you're a Jehovah's Witness,
great.
you're not really, and I'm not knocking witnesses at all.
Sure.
You're not allowed to read or explore any outside information. So Wayne Dyer is one of those gray areas. So I was obsessed with Wayne Dyer. And then when I left the religion, I started exploring more, and I accidentally ran into Abraham through a book at the antique mall that was called, what is the name of it? It's one of the first ones, Abraham. Oh, what is that one? But anyway, I thought it was about Abraham in the Bible.
Yes.
And I laid it on the counter, and this couple comes in and goes, "Oh, you know Abraham?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know Abraham. What do you mean?" "No, that Abraham. Have you read this book?
It is given.
Ask and it is given."
Yeah,
I thought it was literally about and it was so outside of anything that I was ever taught, but I had finally learned to open my heart and mind to new things, and it blew my mind that I had to put it down. But then I became obsessed, and I don't go a day without listening to Abraham.
I don't either.
Daily.
I open up my YouTube, and she's always a suggested video, and I just take it as a sign from the universe that that's the video I'm supposed to listen to. Whether it's the YouTube algorithms or not. She's always got such a consistent message.
Yeah.
Too. People always question whether it's real or not. I'm like, dedicate yourself to listen to at least 1 or 2 videos a day until you kind of get the feel of what's going on. So her name, for those that are listening, her real name's Esther Hicks.
Yep.
And her husband, who unfortunately died of cancer, was Jerry. And so, from what I remember, she first started having these experiences when she read the Seth Speaks book.
Seth Speaks, and my dad, who was not a witness, had that book, and my mom didn't allow that stuff in the house or whatever, but I was always very curious about it. And so, one of the first things I did, when I could, is I found Seth Speaks, which blew my mind.
It's so awesome. I've got it too.
I actually discovered that before Abraham, because I remember my dad having that book.
Okay.
And if you ever seen any of those videos, they're kind of mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's kind of almost borderline creepy when you first get into it.
Creepy,
but
yeah.
Abraham is more like makes sense. It made sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
It called to me, spoke to me, and it literally changed. It took a minute for me to get rid of all the beliefs that I grew up on that I still, respect. And I'm, like I said, I'm thankful. I still believe some of it. I just think you all have to have your own belief system and what feels right, what sounds right. Anytime you're questioning something, open your mind, look it up, be open to,
always
other faiths and other expressions of people's beliefs, because you're missing out even if you don't agree with it. It's just so interesting to see what makes people tick and why they believe the way that they believe. If
you close your heart off, you're not allowing yourself the right to be surprised by life. You never, ever know what's going to resonate with you and your soul. And that all ties back into what is, in essence, a soul contract of sorts. This loosely based deal of, okay, and I could get into some weird details as far as kind of how deep that goes, but, it's kind of agreed upon between you and the Galactic Council and a god and other higher dimensional entities that you've been spending your time with in these different dimensional realms, and allegedly we choose to come to Earth. Like, it's our choice to come here because we know we have to. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that God is exploring this planet through our eyes. I think we're a spark of Him. I'm using my words carefully here. I think you and I are on the same page.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I do believe He's seeing things through our eyes, experiencing things through our eyes, and what an honor that is, if you put your mind around that.
Well, then you get into Alan Watts at that point.
Oh, that's my man. I'm going to marry him in the next life.
He's just such a...
He's going to be my husband in the next round.
Well... Mm-hmm. Maybe
he blows my mind.
Maybe we can, maybe we can have a sister wives kind of relationship too. I'll hang out with him as well. But what does he say is that what you are experiencing eternally is what the universe is experiencing at the exact same time.
We are the universe in motion.
That's it. Absolutely. Period.
We are here to live life. We overcome. I do. I'm terrible at it. I overthink, I overcomplicate things, but I try to chill and lay back and, okay, let's just be, just let it go. Just be, let whatever happen is supposed to happen. Don't overthink. Don't try to think so much about tomorrow, because hell, the way things are now, we don't know if we're going to be here tomorrow anymore. Absolutely. Everything is so crazy right now. I've never seen things like it is, and I try to be, I'm not passive about it, but I try not to give it too much energy.
Sure.
But the fact is, when you go to 3 funerals in one day,
sure,
you got to wake up and smell the roses, man. There's something going down.
Sure.
I mean, it's just crazy. So I just send out love and prayers, and for those that have lost loved ones. We had yesterday buried a cousin. While we're burying that cousin, another cousin died. They took him off of the ventilator. So it's just like everybody's going through this stuff. Maybe we came here and said, this is the day I'm going to go. I don't know. I just know there's a lot of people hurting right now. And I know we're eternal. I know that with all my heart and soul. Maybe that, that thought can give some people some hope. To know this isn't the end of it all, but man, we're still human. We're strapped here by time. So, until we go, we're going to hurt and feel the pain of all this.
And that's the whole point of this teaching planet. There was a quote by a Persian kind of ruler or theologian of sorts named Rumi. He said, "This place is a dream. Only sleepers believe it's real. Then death comes like dawn, and you wake up laughing at what you thought was your grief."
Oh, isn't that
it gives me chills every time
profound,
I say it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Because it's just like, in all
see
honesty,
the hair on my
yeah. I mean, it's just like to put it into perspective. It's like taking off a pair of VR goggles almost. Mm-hmm. It's like you're just so inept in this experience of what is only energy, frequency, and vibration. That's fucking it. I mean, if you want to break down what everything is energy vibrating at a specific frequency, and it's all in how you perceive it, and that's where this, your mind and your thoughts create your reality kind of thing. And so, as soon as you start to think about things differently, you start to live your life differently. Things around you start changing, and we are at a time, it's like you said, it's as crazy as it is. Well, we're coming up pretty close on that 25,000 year cycle of these earth changes as well, too. So kind of what I'm seeing is just this huge split, in timelines almost, in timelines of what one person believes and what the other person believes. And then there's this, and it comes down to 2 things. It comes down to love, and it comes down to hate. It comes down to giving into lower vibrational feelings, eating it up, taking it in, consuming yourself in greed and jealousy and gluttony and envy and grudges, and you're wrong and I'm right and you're stupid and I'm smart. Like, it's all coming down to But then there's those that, want to speak their own truth and love and accept everybody for who they are, and are starting to ascend into what now, for the majority.
And I think that number is growing. I think there's
100%,
more of
100%.
us
Yep.
than there are of them. I think some people are, you have love, hate, and indifference. I think some people are afraid, or, but once you be who become who you really are meant to be, and find that human part, that part that comes out when a disaster happens, that part, and so many people come out of the woodwork. That number, it's growing. It is. And I just think eventually, yes, there will be a shift.
Huge
there already
shift.
is a shift happening. And I just think, the law of attraction is a lot of the reason this plague has hit the entire planet.
I
Fear,
completely agree.
It's just a snowball effect.
Yep.
Which is why I try,
Yep.
To keep it over there. It's a very real... And I pray, and, whoever you pray to, I believe in the power of prayer and positive energy. I wrote about it this morning, to make a change.
It is real. I mean, it's measurably real, to say the least. I mean, Dr. Emoto did...
Oh, my God. I was fixing to say to Dr. Emoto, like, that blew me out of the water, literally.
Sure.
Quote, unquote. I mean, I don't take a shower now that I don't think
Absolutely.
I'm like, now y'all are all going to think, now y'all are going to know how nutty I really am. I'm literally, like, I bless the water. Like, when... I drink, even if it's, there's water in this, we're water, I mean, that is just like the most of everything I've ever learned in my life. I think his messages in the water, that's one thing anybody can get into, because I mean, it's just so, no matter what you believe, it's
none of it's
right there.
Stuff.
It's a camera and a freezer.
Yep.
And some music.
Yep.
And some vibes.
Yep. That's exactly what it is.
Mind blowing.
And for those of y'all, just real quick, that don't know what we're talking about, is Dr. Emoto, I guess it was back in the mid-90s or so, did a study on water, and made different glasses of water, and gave them different impressions. Those, hate, or he would say words like, I hate you, or you're stupid. And then he would project different vibes on other waters, like love and compassion.
But you got to feel it, and you got to mean it.
Feel it. Yeah, you can't just say that, but you've got to really, really vibe with it. And play music as well too. And then he would freeze the water, and the crystalline structures of the water were night and day difference between the lower vibe feelings and the higher vibe feelings. And then you exacerbate that into your body, and how much it's made up of water. And if you have those feelings, the water structure that makes up your body is doing the exact same thing.
Absolutely.
So if you hate yourself, you're going to
you are going to get some cancer. I'm going to tell you that you are. Right. And let me tell you how many times I had it before I realized all this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's amazing what we do to our bodies with our own thoughts, whether they be hate, love, whatever. And he's one of the things when I read that, I mean, and it's, the movie, The Rabbit Hole, what's the name of it? You know what I'm talking about? That's where I discovered him. There's a little excerpt.
Oh, the what the bleep do we know?
What the bleep do we know?
Yeah. There's two. Then there's
there is two, and then the rabbit hole one, and then it shows the actress in the water. And she had been hating herself and beating up on herself, and then she saw this Dr. Emoto and these photographs, and it kind of changed everything for me too, because it has a direct effect upon our health, upon our bodies, the way you feel about yourself, the way you feel about the world, what you put out into the world. We're mirrors.
Yep.
100%. We're reflecting back what we're around. Our words are so powerful. They can cause so much damage to ourselves and to others. I try to get up in the morning and say, and God, I've got a mouth on me sometimes. How can I be a blessing to someone else and let everybody I meet be a blessing to me. Let me see the divine in everyone I meet. And I'm here to tell you that's not always easy because those words come out of my mouth and then 3 or 4 hours down the road, here's somebody and I just want to stab them in the eye.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, Tab, wait, remember what you asked for this morning. What does this person what message does this person have for me? What do I need to learn from this person? Because we're mirrors. So there's something, this person that's pushing my buttons, I need to step back and listen to what they have to say. I have a lesson here to learn.
Sure.
So
isn't it something?
I'm
it's
like,
emotional control.
I asked for this morning, okay? So, okay, what did I do to deserve this? What do I need to learn?
How to be able to control your emotions. And that's another thing as well too, is that and Abraham predicts, she preaches on this, is that our emotions are like our GPS guidance system. If you're not in alignment, you're going to feel anxiety, you're going to feel stress, you're going to feel doubt and fear. But if you are in alignment with your purpose, like you said, you know it. You just get that feeling of this is it. This is the direction. Fuck everybody else and what they've got to think about me. I'm in alignment with my specific purpose. You don't have a robot or an engine or a machine that just has ancillary and extra parts. And that everything has its own purpose, and that's the same with the global population. Is that we're all part of this global, Mother Gaia for the most part, and we all have our own purpose. Nobody is just, an amoeba floating around. Everybody's got a point and a purpose.
Yeah, I always think of everything in terms of music, and we're like a big symphony.
Yeah.
And if everybody played the same instrument, if everybody sang in the same key, there would be no harmony. And when something's off, you know it. You can figure it out. Okay, what's happening here? There's something off here. This doesn't sound right to me. But I always go back to everything in terms of music. If we're all the same, how boring would that be?
So boring.
So boring. There has to be a different note, a different instrument, somebody singing. And then if somebody's singing off key, that person needs to go play in another band. He's not supposed to be in mine or she, Doesn't mean he's not supposed to be here. He needs to be somewhere else, though. But, and I believe we're all connected. We're all one, whether a tree or you or me. We're all connected.
Cut from the same cloth,
in some way. We're all stardust, man.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I think, maybe our view on God is pretty similar, but I base everything going back to energy, frequency, and vibration. So if you kind of take that all the way back to God, in my mind, I feel like every single human being is a different expression of God himself.
100%.
Period. Where just God has an infinite amount of expressions, whether it be a piece of grass or a bird or a person. All of us it's literally a projected expression in an infinite quantity of God himself.
Who am I to question that? Yeah. That is his creation.
100%.
Who am I to question that person or that, That means my dad's here when I sneeze, just FYI.
Okay. Hey, Dad.
My dad's here. He sneezed every night for like an hour.
Okay.
So I do this weird thing when I sing, and
does he need a microphone too? Does
he might. He's kind of shy though.
Okay.
Probably not, unless he was drinking. So I do this weird thing now. Like the past year, every time I start singing, I start sneezing. So we've decided when we're practicing, it's my dad because he loved music.
Yeah.
That my dad is there. So my dad's here.
Have you ever been to a spiritual medium before?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. They never seem to get it right with me, so I kind of shy away from them. I don't know if I block it and that I'm skeptical.
Were you trying to
I would love to go to Abraham.
Yeah.
Now, I have been to, I suppose, for lack of a better, fortune tellers, more so. And I'm not a big fan of, I don't really want to know. I'd rather be surprised.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But so far, the 2 or 3 times that I went, and it goes totally against what I grew up in. So the first time I ever went, I was like freaked out.
Sure.
And it was accidental because it was supposed to be a group thing.
Sure.
And the group didn't know it was a group thing. It was like at a house. And so everybody decided they wanted their own like 15-minute reading because they were we all chipped in together. And I was like, I can't do it. I'm not going to get no demons up in me. No. What would my mama say? My mama, if she knew I was here, this is like 10 years ago. My friend Connie was with me. And so I waited and went last. And it was very interesting what she had to say. The thing that blew my mind is she wanted to know if I knew Garth Brooks. That blew my mind. I've never really. And then like 5 years later, another one of my friends went to this same person who I won't say because a lot of people know her. And we had been writing together. Matter of fact, this is the song that we got a cut on that we were working on. She said, "You're not going to believe what she asked me. She asked me if I knew Garth Brooks." I'm like, that's the same thing she asked me. Maybe we're going to meet Garth Brooks together.
Sure.
I don't know. It's never happened yet.
Okay.
How bizarre was that of all the things? Do you know
bizarre.
Garth Brooks? I'm like, I really don't. I know some people who know him.
Yeah.
Does that count?
I've been to one. I used to go to one regularly, and it wasn't for me personally. I would just sit in on a session. I had a kind of a distant family member that this is a crazy story, and I'm not going to name any names. I'll just because they're here local, but our family had, so my grandparents died back in 2010, and this extended family member had kind of always been involved, and she would send emails of, so she was going to this Reiki foot doctor, not really a doctor, but a Reiki foot masseuse, and the masseuse would start channeling.
I know who it is.
Okay.
Is it in Dickson? I love her. Yes,
Yeah.
I know exactly who it is.
She would start channeling, and apparently this family member's life contract was to write these 3 books that I have, and they're mind-blowing. I'm talking mind-blowing.
Ooh.
And so she didn't start writing these books until she was, I think, in her 70s.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And she had no idea how to use a computer, had no idea how to type. It was just, one book is 450 pages.
Oh, my God.
One book is almost 700 pages. And the last book, I think, is about 250 pages.
Oh, well, Spirit was definitely working through her fingers, eh?
They are so unbelievable. I've read 2 of them. I haven't read the big one yet. I'm rereading another one just to kind of bring back some things. But so I started going regularly, and I could tie it back in. When my grandparents died, there started being messages from my grandfather that would come through that was just eerie, as far as, because a lot of my family wasn't into this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
as
mine
far as
definitely
the other
isn't.
side and stuff, and it was kind of written off as like, this isn't real, and I was a little naive at that point. I didn't really have my awakening until about 6-7 years ago, so this was kind of pre that. But as soon as I did, these messages kept coming through via email to the family and stuff, and I'd read them, and a lot of the words and the phrases and the situations that were being described were a lot of things that Abraham has said, a lot of things that Wayne Dyer had said, a lot of things that, Dolores Cannon had said, and, it's various other people that, kind of speak on these topics, and nobody knew each other. Those people probably did, but this lady definitely
Right.
didn't, and she wasn't into all this either before. Like, it just started happening.
Yeah.
And then she started recording it, and then she was told that she was supposed to write these 3 books that are going into the Hall of Records. So, like, when the earth changes come,
wow.
when the earth changes come and everything goes to shit, like, these books are supposed to be, again, like in the Hall of Records, as a reference book to what the earth experience was like and kind of what happens after. So I started going, and the first day I went, my spirit guide came through, and told me a lot of things that, and I tried not to tell this lady too much about me.
Exactly. That's what I do. Yeah.
So I just kind of sat back. I was like, I just want to be here, and some really coincidental messages started coming through to me, for me specifically. And I kind of stopped going, and I don't really know why. Not that I didn't really vibe with it. I just felt like I needed to kind of step back a little bit on it. I'm going to start going again because I've started getting text messages that whoever it is wants to talk to me about something. And I just, crazy shit. Like, I just started this entertainment business, and the day after, and I hadn't talked to this either one of them in months. And the day after I told Anna Claire, and I researched on exactly what I needed to do to start the business, I got a text message that next day while I was talking to somebody at Pumphrey's and Beard about the business I was about to start, came through, and it said, hey, Michael, I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to let you know your granddad came through the other day and heard of the things that you're doing and is extremely proud of you.
Oh, see that stuff. I love it.
Isn't it nuts?
I mean,
and like nobody, and then she's not, I don't keep her in the loop. Nobody really, not that they don't talk to her, but like I'm not just a topic of conversation amongst the family. So, and then I got another one saying that, you've been requested to kind of return and come back. So and they're both older women. There's no nefarious.
I know who one of them is at least.
There's no nefarious agenda here at all. And so, I'm definitely going to have to start going back because I think that
the one is an amazing human being. I absolutely adore her.
She's beautiful.
Absolutely. I love her and her life story and all of it.
It's crazy.
I love it.
It's crazy. And apparently, when one of them came through, that I was an Atlantean peace warrior in a previous life, to where I would jump stargates to different planets and be a nonviolent peacekeeper.
There you go. I think you're fulfilling your purpose right now.
I do too. Mm-hmm. And people think I'm crazy, and I don't give
think
a
you're crazy.
damn. You know what I mean?
Who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares? When you get to that point, it's freedom. When you don't care anymore, it's pure freedom. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It is.
Yes.
Cool. Well, it's life, though, isn't it?
Well, I want to know about those books after this is over.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can probably get you some copies of them, too, for sure.
Yeah, I would love to read those.
They're amazing. I mean, and they just resonate so hard with what everybody else is saying, too. Like, it's just, it's crazy just about life and pre-incarnation and everything else, too, and what happens, what purgatory, potentially is, and cell memories, and how we've kind of, the DNA of our soul kind of keeps the experiences of previous life. So you have these children that are born into the world that have just these craziest shit of like telling like, oh, I was this person in this date and all this stuff.
You should meet them sometime that can tell you the story. Their daughter doesn't remember it. She's grown now, but they documented all of it, and it would blow your mind. Here in Dickson. Wow. Blow your mind
of just like a past life.
I know you've seen the one about the kid that was a pilot or something. That's got me started like researching all that stuff. So people, if y'all didn't already think we were nuts, here we are, raw, bearing it all.
That's it. I think that's probably enough for the people today. What do you think? Are you pretty solid on it?
I'm pretty solid on it, and let's do it again sometime. And I think, don't y'all think we should go live sometime?
Yeah.
I think we should go live.
This thing has call-in option, so all I gotta do
my God, that would be so fun. But don't just have like 3 or 4 crazy people all together.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun.
Okay. I would love
Thank you so much for having me. I had a ball.
I did too. And you're the 31st episode, so I'll just go ahead and tell you now is that I'm already starting to plan. When I get to the 50th episode, I'm going to have a big party. With all the
nice.
guests.
We're going to have a big party.
Yeah. So
we should go live at your 50th party.
Yeah,
That's when we should go live.
I love it. Great idea.
Should go live.
Great idea. Cool. Tabitha, thank you kindly. It was
thank you.
Definitely not disappointed whatsoever. You lived up to the hype, and I've found myself a new friend as well, too.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for listening. I truly appreciate it. I hope you learned something today. Maybe gave you a little bit of different perspective on life than what you normally feel and resonate with when you wake up in the morning. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, like, comment, all the good things. It just helps everything out immensely. So I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time, peace. Thanks again to Sassy Pop Boutique for sponsoring this episode. If you are looking for the right fit and style for this upcoming season, feel free to reach out to their fashion professionals on their socials at Sassy Pop Boutique on Facebook and Sassy Pop Boutique Dickson on Instagram, or head on over to their website at sassypopboutique.com for 24-hour shopping and nationwide shipping. If you're interested in sponsoring an episode, please reach out to me directly via email at yourvibespodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, and always remember, stay vibey, my friends.